The second quarter of 2026 has arrived, and in this quarter, our focus is a family affair. Thank you for joining Conversations with Chosen Pen. It is Dr. Anissa Short, and you should know in this quarter we are focused on the family. Absolutely. In April, our theme is Children, Our Future. In the month of May, it's the women that wear the hats. And in the month of June, our focus is men at work. Thank you as always for your support and joining us each week. Thank you as well for commenting, and sharing your favorite podcast. Today's podcast is underway. We hope you enjoy the show. Hey, great Tuesday night, everyone. It is Dr. Anissa Short once again. And listen, I want to apologize in advance. You know, technology just will not allow you to be great some days. As much as you dot your I's and cross your T's, it says psych, and it keeps you from being able to show up as you would. But we pressed through. We did not become discouraged. We did what we needed to do. And yes, we are here. As you already know, and as already shared, this month or this quarter is about the family. And in this month of May, I'm focusing on the women that make it happen. You know, we're really the backbone of the family, right? We are women who wear hats, and lots of them. We're not only moms, but we're wives, we're GGs or grannies or whatever term you use. We are working in our local churches. We are very active in our communities. We are authors. We are entrepreneurs. We are advocates. We are civic minded. We do a lot to make life better. And today I have another phenomenal guest, Dr. Rhonda Woolard. She is one that fits that description very well. Hi, great evening, Dr. Rhonda. Thanks again for hanging out with me in this space.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So tell everybody a little bit about Dr. Rhonda, just your everyday, what makes you tick, what brings you joy. If you had to describe yourself in a few words, what would you say about yourself?
I love to travel. I love to help others, and I just enjoy in life.
I love it. I love it. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. So Dr. Rhonda is one of these beautiful personalities that I had the opportunity of meeting through the virtual space. I've said this before, it's worth saying again. If you have made a decision that the virtual world is not the world that you want to be a part of, then I would say you are missing out, because I've made a lot of great contacts, built a fabulous community simply because I was willing to connect with others using social media, whether that was IG or Facebook or LinkedIn. Dr. Rhonda is one of those people. I'm not even sure how. We're obviously friends of friends, and she responded to an opportunity that I extended to be featured, because one thing about Conversations with Chosen Pen, we are committed to amplifying the voices of authors, speakers, and entrepreneurs. As you guys know, the Chosen Pen Group is the parent company, but this is just an extension of who we are to celebrate authors. And you don't have to publish with Chosen Pen to be celebrated. And Dr. Rhonda is one of those personalities, as I said before, that has not only written a book, but she's taken her message to create a movement. Dr. Rhonda, tell us what led to you making the decision to author a book.
Well, it started off with a Facebook post. I answered a Facebook post, actually. Someone wanted some ladies that had either been victims of sexual abuse or domestic violence, and I answered the post. I didn't know if I was going to be selected or not, but I was, and that started my writing journey.
Sounds like it was an anthology project. Was it one of those co-author projects?
Yes, it was a co-author project. My first one was.
You know, I know a lot of people who have embraced those types of literary projects as an introduction to publishing, and then from that experience branched out and did their own thing, their individual book. Is that fair to say that that happened for you as well?
Yes, as a result of that, then I wrote A Time to Heal, 7 Steps to Healing and Forgiveness After Sexual Abuse and Assault.
So let's talk a little bit about your platform, because I understand from reading your bio is that you are a survivor. You are you experience sexual trauma, but you have taken what you have experienced and turned the mess into a message. What precipitated that decision? I know it may have been a process, but talk a little bit about that journey.
Well, again, it goes back to the first book that I wrote, that I co-authored. And when I co-authored that book, I had to face the trauma that I had been through. I had not really faced it. I was one of those strong people, outgoing, energetic, bold people. But on the inside, I was isolated. I was very broken. And
Yeah.
people didn't see that person.
Mm-hmm.
But when I co-authored the book, I had to face the trauma that I had been through. And I had forgiven my perpetrator, but I had to learn to forgive myself.
Yeah.
And once I forgave myself, I started on a healing journey.
That sounds awesome. That
I,
sounds awesome.
I was introduced to forgiveness coaching. And because I had that bold side when I co-authored A Catalyst Change,
Uh-huh.
start that read the book that had been through sexual abuse, they were saying that's what I wanted to say, or that's what I felt. And it just empowered me to be open and to share my story.
I love it.
And with me being that bold person that people did see, if they could see that I could open up, then I felt like that I could encourage and empower others to open up.
That sounds good. I also okay, so there are 2 points I want to raise that you touched on. One, you made reference to the fact that writing the book caused you or positioned you to deal with the drama, to deal with the trauma, to revisit the hurt and the pain. I've oftentimes heard, and I know firsthand as a result of working with other authors, is that writing is a cathartic experience. That a lot of healing occurs. Was that your experience as well, Dr. Rhonda?
Yes, yes. And because of my faith, God took me through a journey, and He also led me through to show me how He had brought me out
I
through the
love it.
whole process, and that how He was with me every step. He showed me every step how He had been through with me throughout the whole process.
I love that. I love that. One of the mantras and one of my mission statements, even when conversing with others about their books or doing when I have speaking engagements, is your voice has value. And
Mhm.
oftentimes we shun discussing the ugly or the trauma or the experiences that might have been challenging in our lives because we either have shame or we don't feel like there's very much, why would anybody want to hear me, that type of thing. But I have found, and you tell me if you agree with this, Dr. Rhonda, is that when you have the courage to tell your story from a place of authenticity and transparency, not only are you healed in the process, but others are healed as a result of you being bold enough to share your story. Has that been your experience?
Yes, because when I co-authored A Catalyst Change, I was honest. I shared a secret in that book,
Mm-hmm.
which helped me with the forgiveness of me.
Right.
I kissed my perpetrator at one point, and I carried that shame and guilt for over 40 years,
Oh,
where
wow.
that I blamed myself, that I felt like I was the blame for what happened to me. And once I forgave myself, it liberated me.
I can
It
believe it.
changed my life,
Yes.
my weight, my mental health, my relationships, being able to set boundaries with my family members. I mean, it just changed my whole way of life.
I can
Once
believe it.
I would unburden myself.
I can believe that. Listen, several years ago, one of my mentors, well, my mentor, not one of them, but she, Dr. Norma McLaughlin, has had for years a platform where she, um, her platform was on forgiveness or is on forgiveness.
Mhm,
She would host
mhm,
forgiveness retreats, and as a pastor's wife, she facilitated a lot of workshops on forgiveness and Bible studies on forgiveness at her church, which led to authoring a book on forgiveness, and then of course facilitating forgiveness retreats. Well, when I became her mentee, I had to accompany, there were times I accompanied her to these retreats or these events where she would speak. And one of the assignments she gave me, now I realize now it was assignment. I didn't realize it then. But I remember one summer we focused on the importance of forgiveness, and I had to book guests to onto the podcast, and the focus was on forgiveness. And she was very specific on the people that she wanted us to interview each week, because at the time she and I were co-hosting. And so we had a pastor to be invited. Well, that made sense, right? Because forgiveness is spoken of in the Bible. Then she said, I want you to get a therapist, a life coach, and a physician. So I was like, okay, well, I could probably see the therapist too, because maybe you got to go through therapy, or or the life coach. But how in the world are we going to talk to a physician about forgiveness? Well, in the process of interviewing these people, I know it was a setup. I realize it now. Well, I understood why the pastor would be there, because pastors minister those who are really, committed to the gospel of Jesus Christ. They're going to discuss forgiveness because that's a belief, that's a practice, that's a principle in the Christian faith. And then, of course, he spoke to the necessity of forgiveness in his counseling and talking with people. And sometimes when marriages go through conflict, many times it's because they refuse to forgive each other, et cetera, et cetera. The life coach made reference to the fact that many times people find themselves at a place of stagnation. And when they do the work, and as she asked the question, she realizes that they have some unforgiveness embedded. And that's probably the blockage that they've been experiencing. If you choose not to forgive, you can only go so far before it becomes a barrier to your next level of success. Well, that made sense. So then the therapist said, then this particular therapist worked a lot with soldiers, and she particularly worked with soldiers who suffer from PTSD. And she made reference to many of the soldiers, almost all of them, especially those with severe cases of PTSD, went into the military with unforgiveness in their heart, and then the exposure to the things that brought about the trauma made their PTSD a lot worse than someone who was not dealing with unforgiveness. And I was like, are you serious? It was amazing to me, Dr. Rhonda. And then the physician, aneurysms, heart conditions, strokes, fibromyalgia. A lot of that stems from a person's inability or their refusal to forgive. So now here you're saying the same thing, in that you felt a sense of release, a sense of freedom. It sounds like the quality of your life improved. Can you speak more to that?
Yes. So my blood pressure got better. I'm actually now the healthiest I have been. My immune system is better.
Oh, wow.
One example is December. Everybody was sick except for me.
Oh, wow.
Everybody around me was sick except for me. Somebody just asked me the other day, well, you never get sick. What are you doing? But it just impacts so many parts of our lives that we don't even think about. How we interact with our children, how we raise our children,
right?
How our careers. I mean, it impacts so many different aspects of our life in ways that we don't even think about.
Yeah, I can believe it. I am convinced now, Dr. Rhonda, after having that assignment. And then I took it a step further. I'm very much in the entrepreneurial circle, and I had to do some research. As a matter of fact, it's coming from a book. It's leading to a book that I'm about to, at some point in time, I should have already had it done. But it has to do with your success as a business person, how unforgiveness can hinder the success even in that arena, which I was like, when the word of God tells you to forgive, it's not a suggestion. He understands. He wired us. God made us. He understands us more than we understand ourselves. And so if we would just listen and obey, life would be so much better. Is the forgiveness element a part of the platform, your time to heal? Is it a intricate part of that?
Yes, it is the main basis. In my book, A Time to Heal, 7 Steps to Healing and Forgiveness After Sexual Abuse and Assault, I developed the Forgive framework. And one thing about that framework is that when people utilize that, because forgiveness is not linear. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes we have to come back to the different steps that we have went through. We can be triggered by different things. And in this book, it's a guide.
I got you.
I told a group in my master class the other week, it's not the Bible, but you can go back and use it again. You
Yeah.
can use it as a guide. You can put it down, you can go back to it and use it anytime you need to. And it's just a resource that you can use, and there's no shame in it. And
No.
we have to realize, you made a point about forgiveness, but we have to realize that forgiveness is for us. And
Yeah.
also, when we don't forgive, we become stuck.
Yep.
And when we become stuck, we can't fulfill God's purpose for our
I
lives.
love that, Dr. Rhonda. I agree with you 100%. So now here's the thing, when you made reference to this book being a resource, it's not the Bible, but it's a resource. Here's what I like to add to what you shared, and not to take away from it at all, is that for us to sit and we read, the 10 commandments, for us to read the stories about the people in the Bible, and we know the stories like the back of our hands, and all of that's good and well. But we have to realize that those stories were left for us to understand and extract the principles and the
Mhm.
foundation of it, so we can apply it to our own lives. And if you're not in an environment that goes beyond just telling the story, you need a resource like your book to
Mhm.
be able to supplement, to show them, okay, this is what the word of God may say, but this is what it looks like in practical reality. Is that fair to say?
Yes, and for somebody that's been through it,
Yeah.
because I'm just being real and
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just telling you look like it is.
Yeah. That's what I mean by your voice has value. I cannot emphasize that enough. A lot of times we believe that what happens in the past should stay in the past, but I beg to differ, because talking about it is going to release something within you. Like we mentioned earlier, it's a healing process in
Mhm.
just discussing it. And the word of God tells us that too. That's how we overcome, the word of our
Mhm.
testimony. But how do we not know that there's someone praying or going through the same thing you did, thinking they're alone? And then they run across your book and they realize, oh my God, she's saying what I can't say. I didn't have the words. She's placed in a book what I wish I could communicate thoroughly, but I see that she understands what I'm dealing with, and she is speaking my language, and she can relate, and now they have hope. That's the whole purpose of sharing your story. It's not about just putting your business out in the street,
Mhm.
but at the same time, God says he can make all things work together for good. And that's what works together for good, when we are willing to be open and transparent and use the mess of our lives to convert into a message that then can very easily become a movement. You wrote the book, you got this framework in place. Do you host workshops and conferences and things of that nature, Dr. Rhonda?
Yes, I have a master class once a month.
Okay.
And the next one is May the 26th. You can go to my website, yourtimetoheal.net, and go under events, and you can register for the master classes. Like I said, they're once a month
Okay.
there. And I do also do speaking engagements. I do
Okay.
travel. I just did a speaking engagement. I'm from North Carolina. I just did one in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to go to Alabama next month.
Okay.
August, I'm going to New Jersey.
I
So
love
I
it.
do. So I am willing to travel
Okay. That's
also.
So tell me this, and I know the answer to this question, but for the sake of those who might be listening, yourtimetoheal.net is the website.
Yes.
Yourtimetoheal.net, and that's where they can secure more information about you, sign up for
Yes.
your master class, secure a copy of your book, and to follow you if you have workshops, conferences, or speaking engagements in the future. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
All right, Dr. Rhonda, listen, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, but I wanted to give you one additional opportunity. If there was anything that you wanted to share with anyone to close us out as it pertains to healing, forgiving, using your voice to make a difference, what would you offer to our audience?
I would just want to offer that you can start today, one step at a time.
I love that. I absolutely love it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, well, you've heard it. You've heard her here. Dr. Rhonda Woolard. Go to her website, yourtimetoheal.net. Again, I shared it on the screen. I'll share it again. Her masterclass has free registration, ladies and gentlemen. How to heal, forgive, and reclaim your identity after trauma using the Forgive framework. I love that. Dr. Norma McLaughlin would probably just be tickled pink to talk with you because forgiveness is her platform. Again, she shared already May 26th, 7 p.m. Eastern. This is a free masterclass. You go to this website, yourtimetoheal.net, and register, you guys. It doesn't cost anything, but now you could upgrade to be a VIP for only $27. And then don't forget, she's got this beautiful new journal, A Time to Heal, a 30-day forgiveness, devotional, and healing. That's a beautiful book. It's really
Thank
pretty.
you.
Yes, so I appreciate you taking time to be on our space, with me today. And I'm really excited that I'm going to be able to share this on my other platforms so you'll get more exposure. And since you're willing to travel, you just never know who might be contacting you, Dr. Rhonda. Who knows? Who
Okay.
knows? As a matter of fact, I'm going to do my part too to share your information with my community. So you may be receiving calls from other personalities that I know with their own platform, radio and or podcast. We need to get your message out there, and I want to do my part to support you in that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Another episode of Conversations with Chosen Pen. We're here every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Next week, I've got another phenomenal personality. I want you to join me. We're talking to women this month. You know why? Because we wear all the hats. We do all the things. And then we put a little peanut butter and a cherry on top. So thank you again for being my friend. Thank you for liking, commenting, and sharing this episode. If you miss any of our episodes, you can always find me at Dr. Anissa Short on YouTube and watch the replays. But in the meantime, thanks again for being my special guest and for joining us tonight. And make it a great week. I'll see you next Tuesday.